Maraho, Buffalo State and Anne Frank Project. My name is Andrew Ross, and I am here today to present to you my presentation of We Are What We Eat. I have just introduced myself in Kenya Rwandan. Maraho in English translates to I celebrate your presence. I'm sorry if Drew has already explained this to you and it is redundant, but I would just like to celebrate your presence in joining me today and offering me this time and space to share my story. Before I jump into things, I just want to give you a very quick sort of background about me. I am a Buffalo State alum, graduating in the theater arts program, and now I am currently living in New York City, where I'm studying educational theater and social studies education. I have been working with Anne Frank Project for the past year, where I originally was involved through Professor Drew Kahn's ensemble theater class, where we used devised theater, and we as a group created a show that was eventually toured to Buffalo Public Schools. What made this performance and model of learning unique was that we included a workshop in the performance that hoped to activate the students' experience throughout the show. So once they experience the show, they feel something. We offered them the platform to be able to speak about how they were feeling and put it into their bodies. Not only did the students take part in this, but also all the stiff teachers and whatnot. It was really great to see them connecting with their students in ways that they really never thought possible. This same model that I just spoke about would later be used when I received the opportunity, the honor, the privilege to be able to travel to Rwanda with the Anne Frank Project and a cohort of teachers and students with all different backgrounds. We spent the 2 weeks traveling the country, learning about the history, specifically the genocide in 1994 against the Tutsi, and this later informed us in our work as we spent a 3-day weekend working with grade school teachers in drama-based education, where we were using the devised theater method and story building and workshops to inspire teachers to integrate story building into their classroom curriculum. So my presentation title is We Are What We Eat, and you're probably thinking it's about food. And you're right. And you might also be asking yourself, why talk about food when I've had this incredible experience teaching, educating in Rwanda? The reason I choose food is because of how approachable it is, how universal food is, and how we share these meals on a regular basis with groups of people. So it's really a means of bringing people together. And for me, that was the easiest way to connect with the people in Rwanda. Aside from that, the food is also very special, and it was something that took me by surprise. I talk about surprise in the sense of when I think about Nigerian writer Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's TED Talk, where she talks about the danger of having a single story for a group of people. We are all naturally prejudiced in one way or another, whether you'd like to admit that or not. And my prejudice is having this image of what the continent of Africa is. We think of poverty, we think of AIDS. But this image, once I arrived there, was completely contradicted by what I was seeing. I saw a land of plenty and a population with vitality. In one particular experience, we visited the organization Azizi Life, where they brought us on a tour of a village, and we spent the day working with about a dozen women who were farmers, and we walked around, we did some of their chores with them, cutting grass for the cows, retrieving water at the local well, and cooking a meal. Oh, and we also made some really wonderful bracelets that were made from plants, which I never really thought strings were made from plants, but that's once again my ignorance. It was a really powerful day, and it ended with us sharing a meal together. And it was a very simple meal. It was beans, sweet potato, and avocado. But it was so delicious, and it was so loving, and the way in which it was offered and received, it really embodied this sense of community. It was freshly picked, prepared, offering a variety of nutrients. And the best part of it, it was shared with friends. Each meal before and after this in Rwanda was special to me. So that's why I chose food. In the evenings after rehearsing, traveling, and learning, I would sit down often and think about Rwanda in comparison to my country. I thought about the extreme inequality in the US, the food deserts where people don't have access to fresh vegetables and fruit, the prevalence of cheap, high-fat, high-carb Happy Meals at McDonald's and Burger King, the diabetes and obesity epidemic, the corporate monocultures and enrichment of corporate America that controls and degrades our system. Taking all this into consideration, I scoffed at the conceit our government officials have to call our country the greatest on earth. This presentation isn't a call or a plead for us to return to an agrarian economy. I understand that that's impossible. But what it serves is as a way for us to reflect on what we eat, where it comes from, who we eat with, and how we do it. We can convince ourselves with all of our gadgets and material wealth that we are happy, but what good is it when we don't have our health? To reflect on my experience, to offer my commonly form of expression, which is cooking, I would like to cook a meal today, and I'm going to break it down in a way that might inspire you to want to do the same, or you might want to make this exact recipe. So let's head to the kitchen. Alright, so here we are in the kitchen. Today I'll be making a few things. The first being asombe, which is a Rwandan stew type of dish, with the main part of it is cassava leaf. I'll be making sort of a fusion of that, which I'll talk more about the ingredients shortly. I'll also be making mizuzu, which for those of you who are familiar with maduro in Spanish, that is a sweet plantain that's like sliced and then fried, really sweet, and has like a nice crunchy outside. And then I'll be making chapati, which is a sign of cultural diffusion in Eastern Africa. It is inspired by the Indian bread naan. It's a flat bread, and you can use it to like scoop everything up, similar to what you would do with Indian food. Next, or last I guess, is actually not really cooking. I'm just gonna be slicing avocado, because in Rwanda they eat a ton of avocado. It's really, really delicious and much larger than the ones that we usually see in the US. So for the asombe, I don't have access to cassava. Cassava is, in Spanish, is yuca. It is a starchy sort of vegetable that is made into a number of things in Rwanda and other parts of the world. But I'm not using that. Instead of using the leaf, I'll be using Swiss chard, kale, and then what's usually in the dish is eggplant, garlic, onion. I have some pearl onions, and then I have some Anaheim red and green peppers, and then tomato. All those ingredients that I just mentioned here, I'm really excited. These are all vegetables that I harvested this morning with my friend Maida. Her and her partner Anders have a urban farm on the east side over at Genesee and Leslie. And they are a CSA organic farm with 2 acres that is committed to offering fresh vegetables, especially in certain neighborhoods that are considered food deserts where people do not have access to fresh food. Additionally, they are teaming up with a youth organization in which they're going to be training high school kids to learn how to grow food, set up urban farms, and be able to distribute that food to their communities. So They're a really exciting organization. I'm really proud of the work they're doing, and Maida was so kind to let me come and harvest all this. I'm really excited to get started, and I'm just gonna put some music on, and I'm gonna show you a quick montage while I cook. Everyone loves montages. Maraho, and I'm back. Do not let that 5.5 minute montage deceive you. That took me about 2.5 hours to make. But it was really well worth it. Unfortunately, I don't have any photos or footage of myself and my family eating it, but everybody was thoroughly impressed. Not to shine my own shoes, but in my opinion, it did not compare to the food that I had in Rwanda, but I'm really happy that I took the effort and time to learn something new, and I know that next time I make it, it'll be even better. So I hope you've enjoyed my video today. I hope you've appreciated or learned something from my story. Hope that you might have some inspiration to learn how to cook if you aren't interested at this point, or interested in trying something new, try making something Rwandan recipe. The internet is an incredible resource, so take advantage of it. So, Morakose, or thank you in Kenya Rwandan, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of the festival. Take care.